Oh. Hello. Oh, a cat butt.
We're
I
just
needed
gonna
a cat butt.
start with the cat butt.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
We got a little sneak appearance at the very beginning. Oh my
Oh,
goodness, Omar's
I
here.
know. Omar, it's been a while. I know Omar's been working very, very hard. And so we're glad to see him. ¿Cómo estás, Omar? ¿Cómo está Chacha? Where's Chacha Whispers?
Chacha Whispers.
We need them to come back. So
If there's anybody who appreciates a cat butt, I know it's Omar. So
I don't know
I
what that
got you.
means, but I will.
It's okay. It's
Yeah.
our secret cat person language. So
yes. So we like to welcome. Hi, hola, ¿cómo estás, Dominic?
Hi, Dominic.
Welcome. Yes, Dominic's a great percussionist, wonderful person
Oh,
too.
nice.
Yeah. So welcome everybody. Welcome to Cali Cocktail Hour. Tonight I will be featuring my own, not my own, but red wine, also called la sangre, the blood of the Mexican culture, right? Chido,
I
see?
didn't know that.
Muy chido, muy chido. So yes, California Cali Cocktail Hour, which is also kombucha, water, decaf coffee, hot tea, everything else. Bubbly, yes.
Such a good sparkling water.
Yeah. But yeah, then how you doing tonight?
I'm good. I just want to remind anybody that's here that we are glad you're here. Drop us a feeling. Tell us how you're feeling tonight. Elmer says, LOL, he likes the butt. He likes the kitty butt.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
So we love to hear from you guys. And yeah, we call it Feelings Friday because it's kind of a check-in and a temperature taker. And oh, it's Chris. Hi, Chris.
Chris was
our guest. Yeah.
Last week.
You know what?
We're gonna have to build like this thing where you talk and I talk, right? Because I think lately you've been taking over. No, just kidding.
You want to talk about that? You want to get it out in the open?
Can someone actually comment on that, really, please? And back me up.
Are you asking people to say, is Melissa talking over me a lot? Are you looking for backup?
Oh, see, look. Yes.
Kombucha tastes like tepache.
Yeah, which is a Mexican, old Mexican drink that they make from some good stuff, pineapples.
Oh, fermented. Nice! I love pineapple.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, sorry. We like to welcome. Next.
Oh, Melissa. Do I get to talk now?
Yeah. I think I saw my hands. Yes.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that men are so used to interrupting women that when women talk the same amount as them, they think they're interrupting them. Yeah, those are some fighting words we're going to start with tonight.
Hmm.
Anyway, I think you were asking me to introduce Tamra. Was that what you were looking for?
Yes.
So we have a fabulous guest tonight.
Hey,
Uh,
Flora.
I
Sorry.
was talking.
That
We have
was
a
my
fabulous.
sorry, I've been trumping everybody, like the debates too. So I'm trying to hold back. So
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
want to
Did
I don't
you
want I don't
did
want to
you
overtalk.
watch that? I can't remember.
Yeah, of course I did.
I saw you, but I mean, a lot of
Uh-oh.
people did what I think is also a smart idea, which was just completely tune out because they knew it was going to be
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
this shit. So
Yes. I did watch it.
yeah. Oh no, I did too. I listened to the beginning of it, and then I finally turned it off. So maybe all of us are kind of triggered as far as like the not being able to get a word in. Can you shut up, man? Just tell me that if I'm
That's
talking over
me.
you.
That's me. I have a button for that. So
Shut up. Anyway, I'm doing all right. I'm glad to be here. I'm always glad to interact with all of you and have some social time. But yeah, I could
so
go way
Tamara,
deeper here, but
yeah, and
Tamra,
Tamara's coming up. And what is our subject for today?
we're going to talk about friendship and take that from a couple different angles. We're going to talk about friendship as an adult, like making friends as an adult and what that's like. We are going to touch on long term friendship and how to do that because we talk a lot about relationships as a culture. We don't talk so much about friendships. And then we'll also touch on when you need to end a friendship and how to know and how to do that and how uncomfortable it is. So, yeah, those are kind of our anchors. But so, yeah, if anybody watching has any thoughts on friendship or any questions you have or things you want to share or even like stories, we always welcome that because this is an area I think we all have experience in, even if it's like a bad experience in friendship. So, yeah, are you excited to talk about this, Ruben?
Yeah, I just noticed on the background it says later we need to contemplate, and then it says and contemplate on top. So we're going to be contemplating tonight, I guess. That's a symbolic
Where does it?
on the background screen. See that? With the
No, for me, it's
words.
black.
Oh, is it? Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let me look at the.
Interesting.
I can look
Oh,
at
that's okay.
Facebook, but I
That's
wonder if
okay.
it looks different for you.
It does look different for me. Maybe that's
Oh,
why.
interesting. Yeah.
Yes. Huh.
Well, okay, so we're contemplating.
Well, anyways, yeah. So friendships. Yeah, we've all gone through those and had to say goodbye to people, and people say goodbye to us, right? So it goes both ways, right?
I just looked and you can see it on Facebook. I don't know why I can't see it. So
Yeah. But-
weird. Yeah, and actually that's something true as well. Like and I know we've kind of touched on this, but it's also a sort of a big part of adulthood, I think, is recognizing when friendships need to go and also recognizing when someone has let go of you and just the paradox of that, how it feels to be on either side. Because I think whenever we're not in control of a relationship, meaning maybe we don't want it to end or maybe we do, uh, it can feel strange to not be the one calling the shots, you
Or
might
you want
say.
it to end, and you're thinking about it, and they end it first, and then you're pissed.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
That reminds me of more of my like younger relationships, but totally, it's still the ego at play of like, wait, I don't like you, or like, I was the one that was supposed to decide this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's totally ego, but still, that's part of being human. So
Yeah, so we
yeah,
want you guys out there, obviously we love when you interact because the show's about you. We are the vessels and we are the candles that light the cross, the golden
proof.
skies of life, right?
Skies
So,
of life.
yeah, so we're going to take you on a song and then we'll bring Tamara up right now. And the video part is in Mexico City, they have a goth kids who dance, and it's a dance off. But the song is going to be called Give It to Me. And I love beats myself. So let's go and let's show it and let's hear it. And we'll come back with Tamara after this. Let's go. Let's boogie.
Mm.
See, I can see Melissa doing this.
I can totally see myself doing this too. I'm going to choose who I am.
That's me right there.
That's totally you. Listening our emotions.
Hi, Piag.
Yag.
Hola, Teresa.
Hi, Teresa. Yag, I've been seeing all that French toast you're cooking up. Oh my gosh, this shirt, these pants. This is like a very specific type of dancing too.
Mexican goth.
It's like a style in and of itself.
I think that's you right there.
Wait, am I on the right or the left?
Right there.
This is me, yeah. I will karate chop your dancing skills. Just watch me.
We are live in Mexico City.
This is like a rap battle, only it's a dance battle. Yes. Do you think their parents came to watch them?
Yes. No.
You thought better of that.
Flora had the desire to do an online dance party through Facebook or Zoom or anything. Is anyone doing that? We're doing it now. So dance.
Yeah, Flora, dance. That would be fun. It would have to be through StreamYard though. Somewhere you could see the dance.
That's Chris right there.
Chris, have you ever participated in a dance off? I feel like you have. She was prepared for COVID. You see her mask?
Yes. P.I. said, "Where me?"
I think I saw you cooking French toast. I was leaning in your window at your house.
It's Teresa's turn.
He's like, I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. Only a dance on. Interesting.
See?
Flora is dancing in her seat. I love it.
Dance, Flora, dance. Oh, that's me right there. Always against the bigger people.
Oh, the bigger people.
Oh wait, that's Omar. Cha-cha, you're dancing.
Cha-cha whispers. Have you ever seen that video of the people dancing with their cats? It's like a bunch of people in 80s leotards with their cats. I feel like that should be one with future. Because the only thing that would make this better is cats, right?
That's right. And now, the moment we all waiting for.
The only. Where's the percussionist?
Oh, an animation. I love it.
Greta!
Cha-cha Whispers, who is our residential animal whisperer.
Yeah. I'm sure you're pleasing the folks at home right now. Greta looks so like unimpressed. She's like, what?
She's always camera ready. I don't know what it is about it.
I love it. Well, someone said,
oh my goodness. That's
my biggest fan.
That is Tamara's biggest fan. He happens to share the home she's living in.
Wait a minute, is this a plug for what's the dog's name again?
This is Greta.
Oh, Greta. Sorry, yeah. Greta might have her own show. Yes. She's Ruben, your humor sucks. So I'm not impressed by your humor, Ruben. That's what she's saying right now.
I know. It did look like her ears perked up though. She heard something she likes or doesn't like.
Her name. She perks up at her name.
Greta. Greta.
Yeah, there you
Greta
go.
is like, isn't she like the talk of the neighborhood whenever you take her for walks?
Oh yeah, she's a celebrity around here.
Well, I'm so honored to get two guests tonight.
Yeah.
Greta,
Tamara,
so
welcome. We are so happy to have you. Sorry, Ruben, I'm talking over you.
Sorry, I was asking Greta a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want me to put it back on?
Yeah.
Okay.
We know that sniffing a butt is the way you communicate, but how do you know when a true friend?
Ooh.
Do they have do they have a different smell, or I don't?
What do you think?
How does that work?
Are they all your friends? Huh?
No.
I
Do you like
so.
every butt?
I
She
think
loves everyone. She loves butts.
Okay, good.
Must
Perfect.
love butts.
And she loves to eat poop. That's her favorite.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
it's a
Is this in her
delicacy.
dating profile?
That's gonna be
Enjoys long walks through the neighborhood, loves eating poop, real butt sniffer.
Does she like was it champagne? No, not doing yoga, but into champagne. Is that what the
Oh.
song?
I'm not
into yoga.
Yeah, there you go.
if you have half a brain.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, perfect. So how you doing, Tamara? Welcome.
I am doing okay. It's been kind of a crazy day, but I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
We're
thank
so
you for
happy
coming
to
on.
have you. If you had to sum up your day in one word, and anyone watching, feel free to play this game too. But if you had to sum up the day you've had in one word, what would the word be?
I would say chaotic. There was a lot going on. Yeah, and it's weird because there's some days where there's nothing going on right now. I'm working from home. We're doing distance learning with our kindergartner and first grader, and today was just one of those days that there was a lot to do and a lot of things to jump back and forth between. So it was chaotic, but
Tamara's an attorney, by the way.
this is true.
Just to give a little background into what you do.
Yeah. I was like, so everything I say can be held against me, right?
She will prosecute you guys.
Yeah.
She will object and prosecute.
Well,
or whatever.
When you I don't want to mispronounce the word. Do you put bibliophile?
Oh, bibliophile. Yeah, that's a weird word.
And I was like, oh my God, I got to study the Bible right now.
What did you say, Tamara?
It means I have sex with books.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was. I'm like, what do I have to do? I'm like,
wait, did I use the wrong word?
Yeah.
Is this a family-friendly show, or can I?
I know it's after 10.
Yeah,
especially the last part of the hour.
And on the East Coast, it's like midnight. So
yeah.
So yeah,
I didn't know what that was. I was like, oh my God, okay, I have to look at, I was like, okay, so I'm gonna have to read the Bible. Which one first to get acquainted with it? And then I was like,
yeah, she's a Bible.
But I never thought about having, sexual relationships with books.
Well, you should try it.
Perfect. I know. Well, yeah. So
he'll try anything once.
So anybody out there, if you had sexual relations, don't deny it with the book, right? Tell us what book and why.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Just so you guys know, bibliophile, it means book lover. Okay.
Okay. Good.
So stop being weirdos.
I Googled it, so that's why I know. So I was more relieved.
Do it.
Yeah, I was relieved. I'm like, okay, so I
Oh, you did Google it. Oh, I just realized what you said. Oh, good. You probably Google a lot of stuff, huh?
Actually, I do.
Yes. What does the fox say? Well, so bibliophile, Tamara, tell us about that part of your personality. There's a reason I put it, and it's because it's one of the things I think of when I think of you.
Yeah, I read a lot. I always have. I have no impulse control when it comes to books. Once I start a book, it's like it overtakes my brain and I just binge it all the way through until it's done. So sometimes I pace myself. And I just finished a book last night, actually. So I'm trying not to start one until the end of the weekend so I can actually be present with my family. And they seem like nice people.
They seem great. I saw them last week. I've been reading since then. I think if there's going to be something to binge, booking, reading is a pretty cool thing to choose.
Booking is a pretty cool thing. Well, I mean, it makes me feel a little less guilty as a mom. It's like I'm still zoning out, but at least they're seeing me read instead of doing something else. So it's a little better. It's kind of like when you give your kids organic, I don't know, mac and cheese instead of the real thing. You can feel a little less guilty about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so you said organic, and then you said the real thing, which is actually the fake thing, right?
Oh, I think she means like, let me try and
the good stuff.
Yeah,
right.
Real good preservative.
Think of Kraft, organic. That's not real cheese.
on that note, I haven't eaten like cheese or anything like that in the last 3 months because I had high cholesterol and all this stuff, and so I got good test results back because I did really good on my test. But then I'm like, I'm gonna eat a snack, and everything I ate, I was like, it was so disappointing.
Really?
Yeah, because
as you remembered.
Yeah, everything. I ate cookies. I'm like, oh, that's gross. Not gross, but I was like, it wasn't. I ate from one of my restaurants I go to, Chesamanas, and I was like, that's not what I remembered. It's because I've been eating so differently. But everything's been a disappointment. Like, so I'm trying to find a chocolate that I liked that I don't. It's just works. My taste buds changed in that. So I can probably go for organic. Mac and cheese are probably pretty good to me now at this point. So, yeah.
You should just go vegan if you're gonna go for it.
No, see, I'm pressured by chicken.
Pressure by chicken. Oh, I get it because I'm a chicken. I've talked about this before, but back when Ruben and I worked at the same restaurant, we have a soup that is just accidentally vegan. It's just always vegan. And I was like, we should put that on the board so people know they can order it. And he was like, no, don't put that. Then people won't order it. And I was like, how dare you stigmatize me?
The strike against you.
People do that. People do see vegan and they're like, oh, it must not be good. And that's a shame because there's so much really good vegan stuff.
And there is people, especially
But like Oreos.
Yes.
I know. I've seen this like meme going around saying like, did you know that Oreos are accidentally vegan? So you can eat as many as you want of them and not feel bad. That's why they call people like me a trash can vegan, because I don't eat healthy. I try to. There's reasons I try to, especially with a kid. Like I notice once you have a child and you're like, you need to eat that, but I'm going to eat this. You start to see the disconnect between the stuff you put in your body versus what you would put in your kid's body. Which, by the way, can I just say that all of us growing up ate like microwave plastic and Hot Pockets and like all sorts of shit that.
Yeah, that's how we'll survive a nuclear war.
I know. We're all like bionic at this point.
That's right. You don't even know the chips, the microchips that we've been eating. They weren't real chips.
Exactly.
Nachos, yeah.
They just told us they were nachos.
Raul says, "Hola, Raul, ¿cómo estás?" Raul is from Oaxaca. He lives in Stockton. So, but
okay, I was gonna say I thought he lived here, but he's from Oaxaca.
I was. I wasn't disappointed in the food. I don't think was that. I just had a different feeling in my head that I was going to be very satisfied. Like I can eat, I can eat, I can eat like refried beans, but it just nothing really. I don't know. Something happened to me. Something happened to my brain.
Did you have the chicken tacos?
What's that?
Did you have the chicken tacos?
No, and I usually have when every restaurant I go to, I have a favorite, and so that I had my favorite there, but it just I think that I overplayed it, in my head. I'm like, this is gonna be the best ever, because I haven't had 3 months, and I was like, it wasn't the best ever. It's like reading a book, right? When you like think a book's gonna be good, and it's like, this book wasn't as good as I thought it was. That's how it was for me.
Or even like a book you read before, like one that maybe you used to love. And I think we do this with movies too. And then you watch it at this place because you've liked these foods in the past, but with this kind of new, which your taste buds do change. I totally get that.
Yeah.
And
they did.
Yeah.
So
Chris said, I had pizza for dinner, breakfast.
Consistency. See? That's what you want.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I am impressed with that.
Yes. And then clayudas are if you ever have a chance to have one, you should have one.
What is that?
And it is a Oaxacan dish, and it's more like the biggest tortilla you've ever seen. And they can put they'll put like a black beans, or they'll put like a sauce on there. They'll put Oaxacan cheese. Well, you have to be vegetarian. But they put cheese and stuff on there too. It's just really good. And you can see them on I think they have like Netflix has a series that they're doing, street food series, and that's one of the things that they feature. And Raul is going to have a Oaxacan food truck soon, so I'm trying to bring him to Sacramento to bring that. Yeah, so his wife cooks a lot of traditional Oaxacan food, like moles and stuff like that. Which, to me, the Oaxacan, I'll be missing it this year, and
Ruben usually goes to Oaxaca every October for
Day of
Dead.
Yeah. So, but the food, and I miss the food, it's going to be the biggest one too. But clayudas are really, really good. They're hard to pronounce, and they're hard to see the way they're spelled.
Say it again.
Clayuda. Yeah. And then, Flora said that is a good show. So we like to thank everybody for coming out, and we really would love everybody to be part of the conversation too. And that's what we do here as Cali Cocktail Hours, and we have a lot of people come in and give us questions about our subject. And why did you pick the subject, Melissa, tonight?
I picked it because Tamara and I have actually been friends since we were little. We've known each other since we were 5 or kindergarten, and we've been best friends since off and on since we were 9. So this is like one of the longest term friendships I know of. And
Wait,
I think we have.
Are you gonna break up with her during live thing? And this
Yeah,
would be awkward for me.
Spoiling it. That was nice.
So Tamara, I guess I'm supposed to do it for you. So Melissa wanted me to talk to you about yes. So
I
it's not going to work out.
To Ruben. I'm like, hey Ruben.
It's not you. It's your chicken suit.
It is you.
Yeah.
It's totally personal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've been friends for a long time, and I just think that this topic of friendship is one that is always interesting to discuss with other people versus my cats, which is who I'm with most of the time at this point. I think it's one that affects all of us, and like I said at the beginning, for better or for worse, I think. Actually, let's just stick in the for better for now. I think friendships, at least in my experience, they are what have stuck by me throughout everything. Relationships, really great successes, really terrible losses, ups and downs. So yeah, I just think it's an interesting topic. So you guys game to talk about friendship?
Yeah, it is. It is an interesting topic because as you get older, like I am, you go through all of these friendships, right?
Yeah.
Especially as a guy too, because guys don't emote very much, and so that's kind of hard sometimes because you just don't know what's going on. Too. So I'm game. Or as they say in Cali Cocktail, I'm hella game. I'm hella game. Yes.
Cali Cocktail Hour. Awesome. So yeah, anybody watching, if there's anything you have to add, we always want to hear from you. But yeah, I guess that if we kind of just get started, Tamara, what would you say friendship has meant for you over the years? You don't have to just talk about me, but just friendship.
Pressure.
I'm just kidding.
Friendship, that's a good question. It's been definitely a learning experience. It's been a fluid experience. When you're younger, you're learning about relationships, and it's funny to see my kids now. They're 5 and 6, so forming friendships, forming relationships, and it means something different when you're younger. But as it's gotten old, as I've gotten older, it's come to be a lot more meaningful, a lot more necessary in a lot of ways. I don't have a lot of family, and the family that I do have doesn't live nearby. So especially the last few years, I've really leaned on my friendships, and it's an experience. Like you said, it's especially in a long-term relationship, it's like you have to be able to change and grow together and reevaluate and forgive each other. And in any kind of long-term relationship, there's going to be hurts. And I think just giving each other the space to grow and change and heal is really the key to long-term friendship in my experience. But it's also been just incredibly necessary, especially these last, 6 months when we've been home. We haven't had these day-to-day interactions with other people. And I don't know, if it not for my friends and my friendships, and I don't just mean my 30-year friendship that I have, like all my friendships that But it's such a special thing too. I didn't really touch on that, about how great is it to be able to go through life and have these constants in your life that have known you when you were younger, that have seen you through the struggles, that have supported you and cheered you on. And it's invaluable.
Yeah. Let me include this because I think we were talking about this earlier today, Melissa, too.
Yeah. Oh, Flora, that's a good point. I hope you guys include social media friendships and how they kind of differ from closer relationships. Flora, I would love to hear your perspective on that, just because I think they also differ for us individually. I know that some people might think of social media relationships as kind of surface level and not real, right? I hear people talk about kind of dismissing of those interactions a lot. And I know that I'm of the thought that, like, I've never met in real life. Actually, quite a few of our guests on this show, I've never met them in person, but they've become what I consider close friends only via social media. Like, we met in a writing group, we stayed in touch through that. And so I guess with that, Flora, they can be really important. And I think for me, as I'm talking that out, sort of measured, because the thing about social media friendship is that it's not as common that you might see each other through the different arenas, like the different moods. Most of us bring, it's like an intentional thing to open your phone and be on social media. Whereas if if a person just calls you and you're like in a shitty mood, that's a different side of your personality they might see. So yeah, what do you guys think when it comes to social media friendships, how they might differ?
I think that, having so many friends on social media that
you do have a lot of friends.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, it's cool, like, to be able to check into people, seeing what they're doing, and so, and when you do talk to them, you can pick up on what's kind of what's happening, instead of having to go back and like kind of backtrack and see what everybody's been up to, and you kind of see a little bit of a picture if you really study it. So I think that's good. I think sometimes, it's hard to, I guess because now that it's been 6 months, like Tamara said, so it's almost a different, picking up on different cues, right? Different, picking up on different ways that people communicate. Now that we're communicating through mostly streaming and, live Zoom meetings and everything else, there's different kind of cues that you got to pick up from people. So that's also another learned language that we have to learn too for friendships, because, I'm not a good we talk about this, like, I'm not a good texter as far as like when I text people what I say, because I get frustrated. Like, I'm like, that's not what I really want to say, but how can I say it with, without being like, 20
you're
paragraphs.
like a talk on the phone person, which I appreciate.
I'm a human to human connector, So I like to hear people's voices. I like to hear, I'm a sound person. I like to hear their sound. I like to hear the emotion of the voice, right? And so, and I think that's for me too. I can't write what I want to say. So, but as far as like, so this media works for me because I can see people's faces. I can see, I'm not a good, a little bit dyslexic, so my writing is not the best, and I speak Spanish, so I speak backwards also too sometimes. So it's kind of fucked up sometimes. You know what I mean?
You speak better than you give yourself credit for.
Oh no, I speak good. I really, really do. So no, it's just sometimes like, like you said, it's like, but social media wise, it is kind of hard to peg people because you don't know what they're really saying. Like, you don't know, it's like a text. You really don't know the emotion, what they're trying to say. And sometimes you pick up the wrong cues, right? And it's like, I can't believe that motherfucker. Sorry. I can't believe that person said that to me, but it's not, but it's just a joke, and so you got to be less sensitive, right? And that's how I feel about social media friendships. You got to be less judgmental, because you're not really hearing kind of what their emotional energy, what they're really saying. So that's what I feel about that. So,
what do you think, Tamara, when you think about social media friendships, or even just social media in general? Because I know this is like a topic we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I actually don't do social media. I haven't been on Facebook for about 2 years now. I do Instagram a little bit to follow book clubs and things like that, and activists that I admire and want to support. But I don't actively have any social media friendships, and honestly, I kind of miss it. I do. I think that social media is a great tool to meet people, and it depends on the person. Like Ruben, you're saying you're not great at nonverbal communication, but some of my best friendships or relationships, even my husband and I met online. And there are plenty of, like Melissa, you were saying, you have plenty of people in your life that, but for social media, you wouldn't be close with them. So I think it's a great tool. It's not a perfect tool. There's all this other stuff that comes with it. And I, unfortunately, am not mature enough to separate that from the good parts of social media. But I think it's great. I actually am a good, I think I am. Maybe I'm giving myself too much credit, but good communicator nonverbally. So I think that I usually come across the way I mean to on social media, on text or whatever. I think it's great because if you're not an outgoing personality, it's kind of almost a backdoor way in. You don't have to, go to a restaurant or a bar and be this boisterous personality. You can just get to know someone in a semi-safe space because there's no pressure, there's no, expectations, and I don't just mean I'm making it sound like I'm talking about romantic relationships, but honestly, I feel like friendships are kind of the same way, especially the older we get. When I meet people, it's almost like, oh, I'm courting them, I'm wooing them, I'm I'm showing them the side of me.
I picture you like with a red flag. So actually, let's touch on that. I don't know if Flora ever gave us her thoughts on social media friendships.
She had another one, but let me go back to, let me say hi to our friend Serge, who's always somewhere.
Serge, where are you? Oh, you're in Chicago.
Yeah, I think we, instead of Where's Waldo, ¿Dónde está Serge, which would be Mexican Where's Waldo.
Yeah. Okay,
yes.
I like that.
Yes, and then
well, it sounds like
I think she's talking about
some depth.
And then
I think we can.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So I kind of also mean by social media friendships, the friendships with people you've met or known in person, but only really maintain through social media. I was thinking about this today because especially with how polarized we are as a society right now, I was thinking about
Hey now.
Here's Tamara's husband. I was thinking about how there are some people, for one, lots of people have deleted me, and I have deleted a fair amount too. And I do this thing where mostly it's like, if they don't bring me like a good feeling for whatever reason, it's not just people who have different political beliefs, but it's like, if they make me feel bad, why have them in my feed, and same for them. But I was thinking about how there are some people who I wasn't actually that close with in real life, like when I went to college or in like my recovery community, or people that always seem nice, but it was just kind of like, oh, let's be Facebook friends. But because we share so many either values or interests, we have become like each other's cheerleaders, and I wouldn't say close. I'm not going to get invited to their wedding necessarily, but they're people that I'm really glad to have in my sphere, I guess you might say. And in real life, we might not have ever realized we shared these things. So that's kind of, just like the drawback to being connected on social media with people that you like in real life can be finding out that you don't like a lot of things they're for, or just being disappointed by them digitally. It can happen the opposite way too, which is kind of nice.
And I think that kind of plays into what Flora said right now too.
Yeah. So Flora said, it's why it's been so hard for me at times to think about removing myself from Facebook, because there's so many contacts I'd probably lose forever. Tamara, do you want to speak on that? Like how that's been for you, having been off of it for 2 years?
Yeah, that's been the hardest part. And even a lot of my family members, as I mentioned, nobody lives nearby me. So social media was a way to keep in touch with, especially extended family like cousins and aunts and uncles and people that I wouldn't normally see on a regular basis, and that I'm interested in. I love them. I want to see what their kids are doing and, how they're doing and all these things. But I thought I would miss it more than I did. I do miss it. And there are certainly people that I'm like, oh, I wonder how this person's doing. But for me, the place that I was in my life at the time I took a step back,
puberty, man.
I know. It's okay. Be strong. We're here for you. We're here for you. Be strong.
I feel like my net was expanded too wide at that time. And I needed to narrow what I spent my energy on. And so for me, it was beneficial. And that was why I struggled for so long with giving it up, is I don't want to lose touch with this gal that I worked with 10 years ago who I love, but we have no reason to hang out or see each other now or whatever. But like I said, I thought I would miss those connections more than I do.
Yeah. Let me ask, when you have thought of someone like that you miss, has there been anyone that you've actively sought out offline, or has it for the most part been people you weren't already keeping in contact, were sort of part of the loss and it was just what it was?
So far, it's primarily been people that I would have talked to anyway, or that were already in my schmear.
I was like, that reminds me of Spaceballs.
Cat schmear.
Yeah, I'm like the Schwartz or what
Tamara's
was
bringing
that?
out her inner Jew.
Schmear.
Yeah.
In my sphere.
Yes.
I meant to say sphere. I hope
we know. No, this is such an interesting topic.
Yeah.
When you talked about casting a wide net, Laura said, I'm the drunk dialer who calls random Facebook friends. Laura, we got to be friends. I'm going to need to see this in action. It's funny when you'll see you have a missed call from some random person. You're like, I do not think that was on purpose, on Facebook Messenger. Or when I'll do it. I've totally done it too. Not drunk, just, butt dial. But yeah, talking about the wide net. And I also think in this moment,
I think that we have to acknowledge Justin.
Justin,
he said the delay is messing us up.
The delay is?
Yeah, there's a slight delay that messes his comment timing up.
Perfect. Well, he better work on his timing.
Justin can't be as funny as he wants.
Yeah, I can't.
This is basically the Justin show. So.
Yeah.
This is just a couple of weeks back. We had why was her name
Lynn?
Escaping me. Lynn.
Yeah.
Mayuba.
Yeah, Mayuba.
Anyway, it ended up being her husband talking through text the whole time, and then Ruben starts playing a clip of him, and I was like, "This is Lynn's show."
Do you know how much she sold at that show? She sold a lot.
Good. And you want to know why? Because you had her on your show. It's all because of you.
Our show.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Our show.
See?
I'm kidding. I'm actually very proud of that. Lynn had an art show in the middle of all of the smoke. And actually, it was a little better that weekend. This was 2 weekends ago. But that's awesome to hear, because it's been rough for people who are trying to make do just with COVID and bring stuff outside, and then no one will go outside. But anyway, I want to get back to the net thing, because I think this is just an open issue for everyone. I think this is part of I know I use the word bandwidth a lot, because I do think our brains are like computers and we only have so much space. And ultimately, you know how Facebook will curate the people whose stuff you actually see. So you might have 2,000 friends, but you only really know what's going on with maybe 40 people. I'm not sure how many people show up. And even though I've always been annoyed by that, I wonder if it's also saving our brain from really, that's a huge net to know what's emotionally, whether it's good or bad, or just here's my food, or here's my thoughts on this. There's just a lot. And I think in this very moment, when a lot of us are depleted in so many ways, it is more than okay to measure that. And, if Flora's still watching, whether you leave it completely, which can be really hard, especially if there's people you really know you're going to miss, or something I did and has been super helpful is just delete it from my phone. So I have to be on my computer, which I'm not on my computer all the time, to be on social media. And that kind of keeps me a little bit plugged in because I want to be partially for my business. Like that's a lot of where I interact with people, but it's a little bit of a moderation. And that can be really important when we're getting sort of assaulted with information, not just about our friends, but just in general.
Yeah, and I think that, like I said, that it's social media this is the ironic part about the whole thing. Well, I don't know if it's ironic. Is that a word?
Isn't it ironic?
No, but this is how the show came out, is the necessity of reaching out to people that are out there that just want to talk and that want to have a space to emote and talk about subjects like this, right? And so for me, I need contact, whether it's virtual or whether it's human contact. I just need to talk to people. I just need to feel that there's someone out there. I think that comes probably from my childhood too. Where I'm like reaching out for something and and finding it at least in some weird, strange little nook in the universe out there with this. So I'm a person, like, I am not opposed to a lot of social media stuff because I realize that a lot of it for me, it's energy, and energy requires, I may not look like this on the other side, right? I may be like long hair and frizzy and no one will ever know. But I think that that energy is energy. And for me, it's like I've lacked a lot of talking to people. Like it's just something that I'm a social person, and I need human energy to move on forward. And it's been rough. And this has helped me a lot too, just reach out to people and talk to people and interact with people. So speaking of interacting, hi, Leela.
Leela
Nice.
she's been a guest on Ruben's show a couple times, or you guys have done posts together. She's an artist, a mask maker. I just unfollowed so many people. Yeah, that's always an option too, for sure. It's just to unfollow.
And there is some assholes out there. I mean, and there really is. And there's some people out there, I've had to do that too. Like people that friend me and I'm like, I don't even know who these people are, but I'm like, I'll accept it. And then I'll look at their views. I'm like, they're not my views. And it's not my responsibility to bring them on into my world and, just do that. And I'm like, so I just let them go. I'm like, okay, fine. I don't even know who you are. But again, it's kind of setting your boundaries, right? Especially people you don't even know who they are. And then all of a sudden they're like, blah, taking a big
yeah.
A big
a
spray.
Big dump on your Facebook.
Well, I was going to say that, but a big cat spray on your, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, speaking of which, that is something that often, it's funny. I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, Tamara, but when I think of your family, I think of like random comments on threads of yours or ours that have been a little bit instigating, right? From family that might have different views than you. And I bring that up to say, that's part of where the boundaries come in, is that we don't have to take everything from family members, but often that's who those of us with family that have like really differing views or like some pretty tough conversations happening, already dealing with that means that if it's some random dude from high school that's coming, I remember that happening a lot in the last couple of years, where it was like, okay, it was fun to be Facebook friends with you, but if you're just trying to like argue with everything I say and why, as in what am I doing? What about what in me thinks I need to engage all the time? Maybe this is like, I like to make as much stuff as possible a me issue, because it's like, I don't need to have you in my life. So that's always an option too, for sure. Knowing that we already have to spend that bandwidth on family.
We have a long one. Can you read that?
So Flora said, I can isolate so well. I'm only really starting to understand that it's actually having a negative effect. I really miss interaction. So this is great. Well, we are so glad that you're here. And I think a lot of people, and then this is why the comments obviously don't come on me too, because Leela has laughing emojis right after that.
So they're a little bit delayed sometimes. And then John says, hola. Hello, John. How you doing? John's another great artist too. Great person. So, yes.
Yeah. So that's why we love this too. And honestly, often, I will feel so drained and not feel like coming on and doing this show. And then I always leave just energized because we get to interact. And I too am someone that does like to, talk to you guys. And there's a lot of people feeling isolated right now. And I think that like remembering that you're not alone, and And also that I think, kind of returning to the friendship conversation, whether it's online or in person, friendship takes effort. And I know I said a moment ago, I like to make as many things like my responsibility as I can. And I am someone that will often be like, nobody likes me. No one's called me in a week, or no one has, invited me to do something. This is like when I was younger, but still, oh my God, Adrian. That's
Hi.
Hi, Adrian.
I'm not a lady, but I'm sensitive. And one of my favorite movies is still Magnolias and Chocolat. So that's kind of makes me.
Tamra loves Still Magnolias, so you're in good company.
Okay.
Just that it can take effort to not isolate, and as in to call someone, to reach out, to answer the phone when they call, to say, this is how I'm feeling, or simply just say, how are you doing? Because that's often the most you can handle when you're really down. But as I say that, and we've talked about this on the show a couple weeks in a row, when you're really struggling, that effort is hard. It's really hard. So I think they can both be true, that like we are responsible for staying connected, and it's really, really takes so much energy. And I say that as someone that has, I think, more energy than maybe the average bear in terms of social interaction. And Ruben, you know this, like I've been kind of a bad friend the last couple of weeks. I'm like, kind of isolating myself. Right?
Yeah. I was like, whatever. And then she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, whatever. And she kept saying, what? I'm like, whatever. I'm like, that's our friendship the last couple of weeks, right?
That's the real depth of our conversations lately. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, I'll just make an active amends to you and say, I haven't really been holding up my end of our friendship, because I've just been like not totally drained. And again, I feel like I often take my own temperature, knowing, okay, if I feel like this, a lot of people probably feel like shit. So
fortunately for her, I have a lot of compassion to friendships, so I can hold in there and stay in there and go, okay, you're having a bad day. I don't pressure anybody. I'm like, fuck you if you don't want to talk to me, whatever, and I'll go cry, but I'll be good afterwards. No,
just like
I love
writing
you.
your diary all angry.
We do have 2 long ones, and so I don't know if Melissa will read the long ones. I read the 3-word ones. So here's one for you.
So Chris said, I told my kids they can pick their friends, but they didn't get to pick their parents. So it was okay if they didn't like me. Fortunately, we all have a wonderful, loving relationship. That's awesome. And I feel like you were probably a pretty cool dad, even though every kid gets mad at their parents. But Tamara, Chris was our guest last week. So
here's another one.
Oh, Christina. Oh my gosh.
Christina.
And you can't see Tamara, but this was our friend when we were like in junior high. So I'll read this. I came into the show late. I just got home from work. I'm a junior high friend of Tamara and Melissa, and have been going through my garage and realized I saved dozens of handwritten letters from both of you in high school. What a difference it was to live and keep in touch before social media. It made me miss you both so much. Social media is so impersonal compared to how we grew up. I'm so sad for today's teens, my kids. Whole different topic, but throwing up all the good pics and videos. Oh, that is so cool. I'm so happy to see you, and I'm sure she's happy to see you.
And Leela's laughing, but I think it might not be what.
Leela's just always laughing. She's like, you guys are having emotions. Oh, you guys can see. Hi, Tamara and Melissa. Yeah. Hi, Adrian.
Hi, Adrian.
Yeah. So, and that's, well, I'm going to, go on social media kick, because I've been seeing a lot more people, adapting to, even older people. So, which is an amazing thing, because, they didn't want to be part of this whole thing, but now they realize that it's kind of the way we're going to see people for a while, and it's not going to be over, fortunately or unfortunately, it's not going to be over with for a while, So, and I'm glad that I do see people like this, because, like Melissa says, it does give you a burst of energy and a burst of of that you are, contacting, keeping people in contact, and whatever you can do, you can do. So let me ask you a question too on not social media friendships, right? So when you I have tiers of friends, right? Tiers, which I mean, I know some people, some of my friends I can go really deep with if I need to, right? Or I know friends that don't want to do that, and so I give them their space to not I know that people they drive themselves nuts because they want some people to go deeper than they can, right? And I think that it's important for me. I understand that some people just don't have that emotional ability to do that, so thrust them out of my life, because because they don't go to that level. But I think that for me, it's important to have just different kind of friends and for different occasions, if that makes sense. And what do you guys feel about that? Like, I mean, because I know that sometimes, it's like family too. Like, I'm not going to call this my cousin because he doesn't, he's kind of a, not dimwit, but, not very deep. Right. So I'm not going to get these. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like,
this is not the right person for this topic, or
yeah. And do you feel that I mean, it's kind of weird to say, but do you feel that with people in your lives? Like, do you just bang your head over and try to get them? Because I know a lot of people try to get people to think that what they want them to think, or or to emote what they want. Or do you have friends that you just kind of like, you just know that that's just not going to go there, so you just keep them like that?
I'll let you answer that, Tamra. What do you do with these different tiers? Because I feel like this is a topic that you do have thoughts about.
Can you guys hear Greta snoring, by the way?
Perfect.
I think I do. Yeah.
I think I put her to sleep. Either
she is knocked out.
She's Ruben has either smooth voice, or he's just freaking boring.
No, it's like the highest paid compliment from her. Yeah. So we have a different analogy, sort of, that we've gone back to, which is the anthill. Who's at the top of your anthill, and I do think that there are different levels of friendship, and it's funny because as you were talking, I was thinking about how not having social media has really forced me to only have contact with people at the top of my anthill. Yeah. And that's almost not fair to them, I feel like, because I can be overbearing and needy, and it's like they have to be everything to me, So people like Melissa and my husband, and I don't know who else, my other friend.
Your dog? You're sleeping.
Greta.
Yeah, Greta's sleeping, so she's like.
Yeah, it's like I have not unrealistic expectations, but I feel like I'm putting too much pressure on them to fulfill my needs for social interaction, because right now I don't have those passing, and normally it's fine because I have work, I have people I run into at the coffee shop or whatever, but right now I don't have any of that. Right now it's just these four walls and what few people I have on the top of my anthill. And so I have thought about going back to social media. I don't think that I'm mentally prepared to do that, but there are so many benefits, like you were saying, and people that fulfill different parts of you, that I think that's totally valid and a helpful way to think about it.
Yeah. And, I think what you said about coffee shops, I think that's what I mean. I think that I mean friends, I ever with my friend, I was like, it's my friend, right? But I think, like you said, you go to a coffee shop and you see someone that that works there, and that you kind of have an interaction with them. Different tiers of interaction is true. Just like a family member or anything else. Is like, I think that people sometimes want things from other people that they're not ever going to get from them, and then they get so frustrated, and just to accept the fact that what, they're not going to go deep, or they're not going to talk about politics, because I know that I have different parts of my personality that need different needs. So I need to talk about politics, and my girlfriend Melissa, she's like, okay, maybe you should call someone else because we've untalked it over, right? Or just different kind of like, or my art friends, I need to talk about art stuff. I'm frustrated about different things, and that's I think what you said was right about meeting different people for different tiers, and social interactions with everybody too.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that
we're going to catch up to our little. So
before we get to a good one tonight.
Yeah. Cheers, our friends.
Cheers of friends. I have about a handful of friends who I really trust.
Yeah.
I've always felt that tier of friendship too. My closest friends are those I click with in a way where we just talk, and always have. And then there's others that are a lot less deep. And sometimes it just happens in an instant or over years. Oh, I think Leela's taken off. Good night, little man. Bye.
Oh, come on, Leela. You're just kidding.
Acquaintance is not a friend, in my opinion. We are friendly, not friends.
See, I
And
have
I think
friends.
that's a great way. I mean, and we all might define that a little bit differently.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like I have a lot of people that describe me as their friend, and I'm like, yeah, we're friends, you know. And Melissa's like my girlfriend, not that Melissa, my
the other
Melissa.
one.
Yeah, but you know, she's like, you have so many friends, and everybody always describes you as this is your friend. I'm like, I know, it's just because I talk to him as my friend, and I have lots of friends, you know. And I think because the way I interact with people, and I make them feel like they're my friend, and they kind of really are. So that's just me, though. That's my DNA. That's my makeup. Not everybody believes that, but I do have a lot of people that I interact with all the time, and I just, you know, I want them. I like them to be my friends, even though
And that's a
sometimes,
really
you know,
beautiful quality, to be
yeah,
able to, help people in your presence feel special. Because I think that's what that is that
yeah,
the way that people who know they're your best friend might feel special, being able to just like, I think just be present with people is,
yeah.
is a
And
really great quality.
I think you're right. I think that is the number one thing is that when I talk, you know, I'm like when I talk to you, but when I'm with you, I'm with you, right? I'm in that moment in time. Like even my family, they're like, you know, you don't come around. I go, yeah, but when I come around, I am most present that you'll ever have. So, you know what I mean? Like I'm a present person. So, I may not see you like, you know, my sister's like, I saw you. I always go, I saw you 6 months ago. She's like, Ruben, that was a year ago. I'm like, yeah, but you know, it felt like 6 months, but you know what I mean? Like, but for me, it's being in the moment and being present and listening to people, like listening to really what they have to say and being in that moment. And I think that's something that we, you know, as a society, we don't listen to each other as much as we should. And you can see that on Facebook. You can see that on social media too, is that just sitting back and, you know, because because it's hard not to react to certain things, especially I wouldn't get on social media at this point.
I was
I
going
would
to say,
wait.
Tamara, wait.
Yeah, Tamara, wait
Well,
for
it's
another
hard,
month.
right?
It's like,
Because there's all this it's a horrible political climate. It's such a dumpster fire. The whole world is a dumpster fire right now. But
Yeah.
then it's like all the good things you guys are talking about there's a lot of good people out there. I recently took a course, The Art of Social Media, that taught me.
Oh, that was you. I'm like, oh, now I get it.
That went over a lot of these concepts. That it's how you think about it. It's the energy you put into it. It's the and there's so many good things on social media that you lose out on when you lose out on all the bad as well.
Yeah, and let me bring up Sharice's because I think this is a pretty good one too.
Do you think this is a good point?
Yeah.
Cherie said, I think we're all chameleons in the sense that we find people that we can express different facets of our inner selves.
That's so insightful. And I love that it's also like, it's what they bring out in us, you know?
I think, yes. And thank you, Sharice. I found because that's what I mean. Like, you know, because I mean, when I go to Mexico, I really find a lot of people that probably will say they're my friends, right? And I probably met them once or twice, but they do bring out different parts of you, right? Different parts. And I think that's kind of what I should probably rephrase that, not people that you have different tiers of friendships, but people that bring different things of your inner self. And those you can emote to people rather than, trying to make them kind of make that connection with you. So
I think we're holding the space for both. I think there are kind of tiers, and not in like a mental way, but just people we talk to more that are more close to our inner circle. And even those people that are maybe both at the top of your anthill might see a more thoughtful part of you versus this person sees the really goofy part of you. I know that I have friends that I end up being like the mom with, where I'm just like, have you done this thing that's really responsible? And I feel very like neurotic. And then other friends where I'm like, yeah! And they're like, Melissa, have you done this thing? And maybe been a little responsible. And so bringing out like, yeah, I really like that. And I think just holding space for both. There are levels of like closeness. And people, that's why I think funerals are so interesting in that sense, or weddings, right? Just we're there at weddings. But it's like you hear people telling stories about someone and it can be like, oh, I never ever heard anything about that when they were around. But like these people obviously, in their workspace shared this part of their personality, or it's really interesting. I also think too, we don't have to talk about this too long because it can be kind of a downer, but speaking of tears, I think part of when relationships hit rocky places are when one person maybe has you at the top of their anthill, like you're a very close friend. This is, like how I think of our friendship. We need to talk this much. If we don't, there's something wrong, XYZ. And maybe for you, they were like a couple tiers down. And that's not out of like hatred. It's just, and vice versa. When I've been, I know I have those people where I wish we were closer and I've put in all this effort and it's just not there. And I think that going back to the 4 agreements, not taking that personally is a great idea. And it can be really difficult depending on what side of that scenario you're on.
We have one for.
So Flora said at 43, I think I'm starting to understand even more the difference between lifelong friendships and other more short-lived friendships. One isn't more valuable than the other, just different. Yeah.
It's so true.
Because sometimes, sorry.
Ruben, if you were going to add something.
No, I said sometimes you just need those in-betweeners too, right? Because you're going through a different part of your life and, it's all just a journey. And sometimes people, like you're being in someone's life for a reason at that moment in time. And like you said, don't take it personally too, right? Because now, when you said get downer, but how do you know when it's time to end a friendship, right? How do you know, is it because it's taking too much energy out of you? Is it taking too much your life away from you? Or is it just too much, right? Because I think we all feel it. And I think everybody feels it, right? Before it happens, like probably months and months before it happens. And then, because there is also your ego thinking that you don't want it to go away, or is it me too, right? But sometimes it is, you have to make that choice of it's just really not it's not working. Right? It's not working for either one of us. And it's hard to say goodbye, but sometimes that's the best thing that we can do. And sometimes it's better that way to bring it back and let it come back a full circle, and it may come back, so that's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, well, it's not working out. So it's better to end it now and then see if it comes back. Cause sometimes it does come back, right? If you are able to let it go, and if it doesn't, then that's okay too. So.
Yeah. Tamara, how do you know? How have you gauged, okay, it might be time to end this friendship?
When you were talking, Ruben, I was thinking about how messy it can be to end a friendship, because it's like this, almost like this unrequited love. You have this unrequited friendship where one person wants more than the other. But unlike a relationship, there's not this clean break. You don't really sit down with the other person and break up with them and say, we don't want the same things. At least I've never been a strong enough person to do that. And it's hard to end friendships, especially those that have been long term, that have been more than just through a season of your life, as Flora was saying, that that you have that history. And I don't really know. I wish I was better at this. I wish that I was better at setting boundaries, but I've never been great at that. One thing that helped me, for better or for worse, was having children, because all of a sudden I only had a definite amount of bandwidth, like to use your phrase, Melissa, that you only can take on so much, and I only have room in my life for so much, and regardless of whether I want it to be. And it's hard, because there are certainly friendships that have ended, or at least subsided, in the past 7 years since I've become a mother, that I've really wanted to keep intact, but I just don't have that room. I don't have the capacity for it. And then there have been others that have been easier to see fade away. So I don't know. It's not a very clean area. It's messy.
I wanted to. I had a friend who, I was in a band with, and we went through a lot of stuff together. And I wanted to write a letter to him. I said, and the letter was just, something that was just like, look, we went through a lot together, and I want to thank you for this journey, being with me on this journey. I really appreciate you being there, but we're just, we're splitting off. And so I told my friend, I'm going to write this letter to him and say, so that's so sad. Don't do that. I'm like, okay, well, then I thought about it and then I didn't do it. Right. And then I look back, I really should have listened to my heart, because I really do think that there's people that come into your life and they're there for a reason at a certain time. And then you just say goodbye and thank you. And if the friendship comes back around, so it's one of my regrets, not listening to my own self of saying, thank you to this person. And I wish I would have done that more often with friendships, because if it ends bad, it ends bad, but they're your friends for a reason. And there's some good stuff in there too. So, I'm a fan of not breaking it up, but just really trying to figure out what good that we both, came upon each other and just say, thank you very much for this. And, hopefully we'll see each other in the future. Cause sometimes we do, like I said, it's bizarre, or people, you'll get offended because people will pull away from you too. And it's hard to, know what your ego is going through. And it's because sometimes it just hurts, right? And either way. So, and that's kind of, for me, has been one of those ones where I just rather say thank you and move on from that point. And hopefully, we can, get to a point. If not, then we've had our journey in our lives.
I like that there's this affirmative acknowledgement of the mutual benefit.
Because it is, there is, I mean, I had some crazy people in my life, but I needed those crazy times. I really needed these times in my life and, to acknowledge that journey and acknowledge the journey with them and even they're crazy, so to speak too. But that's how I see it too. I see it as a story, as you're writing a story for your own life. And, you just got to acknowledge that, they were there at that reason for that specific amount of time. And, it's don't take it personally, like Melissa said, for the 4 agreements, and don't assume, anything that they did it because of you. Because a lot of times we'll be like, they hate me, they hate my personality, because you're just all these assumptions that you're making. And really it's probably they're just having another different part of their life. And, I got to, move on with my life. So, but that's my take on that.
I think that those are both really good takes. And my cat just hacked at the hairball. That's why I went on mute for a minute.
I knew it had to be a cat thing. So
bad.
Here's one more.
The few times I've had platonic friendships, it seemed as demanding or difficult as romantic relationships, I've cut ties. It's only happened a couple times. Yeah, I think that's really taking an internal temperature. Is this draining me? How do I feel after we hang out? Do I look forward to spending time with them? Am I spending all of this time just trying to keep them happy? Oh, he's not done. Poor pumpkin. Speaking of which, I just want to touch on this really fast just because it's so weird.
Hairball?
Yeah, let me film the hairball. No, so it's funny that we have someone from junior high watching possibly, so she might actually remember who I'm talking about. But so there was this kid, he was a kid when we knew him. I'll just name him Steven, that was his actual name, in junior high. And he was like we were in middle school, so we weren't real friends. I don't think we ever hung out outside of school, but he was on the volleyball team with us, with Tamra and I. And it was and Christina, if she's still watching. And it's kind of just this buddy, we'd always make fun of each other. Anyway, all of that to say, I think I saw him once since then, but we went to different high schools, didn't stay in touch, other than I started calling him on his birthday, which is today, October 2nd. And this was in 1997, maybe 1998, depending on which year of junior high it was. And it was almost like a joke, hey, Steven, happy birthday. It's Melissa. Because he was always oh, Melissa. I was never someone he really wanted to talk to. So it was almost like my brother I was annoying. And then the next year I was like, I'm going to keep doing this. And then the next year I kept going. And it has been, how long now? 1998 was 22 years ago.
Yeah.
22 years. I call him every October 2nd. I've only forgotten once. And for the last at least 10 years, I haven't even talked to him. He still lives with his mom. So I will end up talking to his mom. And I never want to call. I'm always for some reason, October 2nds are always really bad. And today was actually no exception. So I always kind of like, so Christina, she's still here. Do you remember him? Steven, we called him Beef. I'm not going to say his last name just in case someone knows him.
You call him Beef?
Why do we call him Beef?
And you're vegan?
It was just a bad time for all of us.
She's dead.
I'm dying.
I don't even know why. And that's that. So speaking of friendships, long-term relationships, it almost just became this thing where it's like, well, I've done it so long. And actually the year that I forgot, the next year, I've ended up talking to his mom, if I didn't finish that thought. He never wants to talk to me. So I end up chatting with his mom every year and filling her in on how I am. And she tells me how she's doing. So it's just been me and his mom for the last decade. They didn't answer today, by the way, just to throw that out there. I did call. I left a message. Anyway, it's just like, I don't even know why I do it. It's just like this tradition that's gone on for so long. And I'll probably keep calling until, honestly, this sounds very dire, but I assume his mom will die at some point and he'll probably never answer the phone again, which could have already happened. So I'll probably just stop calling if he doesn't answer for like the next 3 years or something.
Well, because it's a landline, right?
It's a landline, which
so stay tuned for 3 years and see what happens. We'll have the same conversation on that.
Yeah. Okay. So since we're wrapping up, should we ask Tamara our rapid fire questions?
Yes.
Aww.
I love that we actually have someone watching that went to junior high with us. So Christina, yes. So weird. Oh yeah, whoa, Melissa, we are all in SAC and we went to a school called Westside Charter School. So that's where we met Beef. It's an October 2nd mystery. Or
the massacre.
Or massacre. Yeah, maybe I'll just murder him one year just to really round things out. Okay, landlines. All right, so this is the part of our show where I'm going to go through and ask Tamara a bunch of seemingly random questions, but they're kind of fun, especially since I know her so well. They're also things I probably don't know how you're going to answer. So that's part of the fun here is whether or not I know someone, they're always new.
So are they one-word answers or do you want me to pontificate?
Well, I was going to explain that. So if you could, I'll get there. Okay.
It's a big word for me.
I love when, but I know. Are you a bibliophile?
That's another religious reference, right? The pontiff.
It does. It sounds very.
I never thought about that.
It sounds St. Francis's. Is that a
sounds
word?
like animals and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so if I may finish my point, the way you answer these questions is we're gonna like go boom, 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 but no one ever actually answers like that. You can like pontificate a little bit if you want, but just for your sake, try and keep them kind of short. Actually, is good advice. Don't overthink your answer. Just whatever comes to mind, that's your answer.
Yeah, who's your best friend?
Melissa.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead.
At least I'll have the end of our friendship on camera if she doesn't say Melissa. Yeah. Just kidding. Okay. All right, ready? And finish this sentence. Finish this sentence. Vulnerability is.
That is not a rapid fire question.
Vulnerability is. First thing that comes to mind.
First thing that comes to mind, scary.
That's good. See, a lot of people say that. You're so normal, Tamara. Okay. This is okay if you have to think about this. What is a weird thing you did as a child? I added this one based on something Ruben said earlier tonight. What is like a random or weird thing you did as a kid?
I feel like I was just having this conversation with someone, so I should have a really good answer, but instead I have nothing. I don't know. Going back to the book thing, I used to stay up all night reading, and my mom would like discipline me for staying up all night reading books. I'm a bad child.
I know. Can you imagine if your kids did that? It's like they're tired, but they're also reading. So
yeah.
All right. A concert you'll never forget.
Ooh, how about In Sync with Melissa and Christina Quadra, née Delise?
Yeah.
This one right here?
Yeah. We used to literally go all over
we went to at least 5 In Sync concerts in high school.
Together.
Nice.
Yeah.
I literally lost hearing. I think we've talked about that on the show before, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Something you are deeply grateful for.
Is it cheesy to say friendships? I really am grateful for my relationships, for people that have, been around and allowed me to be imperfect and, to grow and change and learn and all these things.
I love that. Totally not. Of course, I'll let you say friendships. And Christina is totally cheering on your in-sync answer, by the way. All right. What is your favorite movie? And I know you probably have multiple, so just give us one. Or two.
I really, really, really love A League of Their Own.
Aww.
It's got everything. It's just everything. And Tom Hanks.
People crying at baseball.
A national treasure.
Yeah, it's an awesome one. I'm not sure what Flora's comment was in response to, Ruben. Not at all.
Flora, can you answer that question?
Sorry about the delay.
I think she was saying when I said, is it cheesy to say friendship?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know.
Oh, hold on. Can you say that again? Will you repeat that?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I think she was answering when I said, is it cheesy to say friendship? She was saying, no, not
perfect. See?
There we go.
Sorry, I was just being on time. Yes, perfect.
Oh, I get it now. See,
yes.
You see why it's funny. Here's why it's funny what he just did.
Sorry, I'm a little.
I really love Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion.
Oh, you do.
It's like the freak flag in all of us. It just brings it out,
So Emily, who has a podcast called Why This Film, we feature her clips on our show a lot. She just did a podcast on Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Would love that.
Yeah, it was actually really awesome. We listened to it the other day.
We need to get Emily to do bits for our show, too.
I know. She needs to just make content for us.
Yeah, and then we can...
She has the best British accent. And Audrey says, oh, is this a friend of yours?
Yeah, sort of. This is a social media friend when I used to have social media, but she's knows my husband, Justin. She and I have never met in real life.
Nice.
Does she know Greta?
I don't know. Probably.
Let's see Greta. There you go.
Oh, Greta.
Greta, come on. I thought Greta was a late night dog.
No, she's done.
She's done by
CBD.
9. All right, we're going on. Tamra, favorite meal?
Chicken tacos from this place in Stockton called Irma's. But Tres Hermanas is a close second.
Love Tres Hermanas. What is the last dream that you remember? Or just a dream that you've never forgotten?
When I was in junior high, I had a dream that LL Cool J was my cousin. For whatever reason, even when I see him now, pictures of him or on TV or whatever, I think that it's like we have this special connection. We're kindred, But in my dream, I was calling him and I was like, or no, we were hanging out and I was trying to get an autograph from him for my friend because she was a big fan. And he was like, you don't have to ask me for an autograph. You're my cousin. But yeah, still when I see him to this day, however many years later, 23 years later, I'm like, yeah,
we go way back.
Yeah.
What if you did see him? Like Michael saw him in an airport once. And what if he walked up to you and was like, I had a dream about you. I jumped we were cousins. Oh,
that's true.
Awesome question. Thank you.
That's a good question.
All right, next question. What is on your nightstand?
My nightstand? I actually don't have a nightstand, and that's a point of contention in my marriage right now. But if I did have a nightstand, there would be, I keep a little pile on the side of my bed, and there's usually books, phone chargers, whatever I'm drinking at the time, usually sparkling water. Yeah.
What book are you reading right now?
I just finished The Last Story of Mina Lee. It was Reese Witherspoon's book club pick for September. I finished it yesterday, And then I'm about to start Sing Unburied Sing, which was Liz Gilbert's most recent pick. So I'm kind of making the rounds in the book clubs right now.
Nice. Yeah.
I also read, let me give a shout out to this. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. It was my first book that I've read by Shirley Jackson, and it is the perfect book to read for this season. So if anybody's looking for a good October read, I highly recommend.
We've Always Lived in the Castle.
Mm-hmm.
Is Justin reading that right now?
And I wanted him to, but he hasn't started it yet. You can, if you want.
Can I have it then?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm actually reading. When I say I'm going to read right now, I'm halfway through a book called Can't Even, and it's actually really depressing. It's all about why millennials have no economic wealth and are basically fucked. It's really interesting.
Because of our avocado toast.
Yeah, and because of our liberal arts degrees and all of the bullshit that so much of culture says. So it's sort of a bad read for before bed because it'll just get my blood boiling when I read about how great, the economy didn't work for a lot of people of color and women for years, but it used to work for workers. Anyway, I'm commandeering your question thing. Yeah. So I know, let's go back to this. So speaking of books, we know you're a bibliophile. What is a book that you think everyone should read?
That's so hard because, as we've talked about, everybody has different needs. But this is kind of a women's fiction book. But I think that if men just open their minds like this much, then they would see the value in women's fiction. But I'm going to say Where the Crawdads Sing, just because it almost had, and I know I got you to read this one not that long ago, but it was one that it's almost spiritual without being spiritual, with all the descriptions of nature and friendships and betrayal and love. And I just think it's really great.
My favorite woman author is a guy named Stephen.
Woman author.
Yeah, I was kidding.
What's funny is I just read a book that was really good, and it was this story of 3 women in a family: the daughter, the mother, and then the grandmother, all told through their eyes. And it was written by a man. And of course, authors are fantastic at taking perspective and telling stories that aren't their own. But I both loved the book, and I was like, this is written by a man. Anyway, Where the Crawdads Sing was amazing, and I totally recommend it as well. And yeah, it's honestly just kind of a shame of living in the patriarchy, which men didn't decide this. So even as we say that, it's just the way we're all conditioned, that women feel like we can read any book if we want. Not that we relate to every perspective, but men, it's like you see something that's deemed chick lit, and it's usually deemed chick lit because we're so stratified in terms of how things are marketed. I was even noticing, it starts very young, as you and I have talked about, Tamra, and one of Tilly's books, or lots of Tilly's books, that are very gender neutral. It's just this book called I Knew You Could Do It. And it's pictures of kids, very simple sentences saying, I knew you could do it. Look what you did. Each page is overcoming something. I'm so proud of you. And I noticed that the cover is a little boy, and it'll flip-flop boy girl, but there's more pictures of boys, and it's all of the kind of main pages, the cover, the opening page, there's more boys than girls. And I bring that up just because if a little boy sees too many girls, or a parent sees too many girls, they'll probably think, oh, that's a girl's book. But it's okay for anyway, gender neutral usually just means it has to be okay for boys to still feel like boys when they're reading it, and it's just sort of the way we condition people. So
can I just say real quick, Flora, I Googled books that are We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and that was one of them. Their eyes were watching God. So that is on my TBR list.
See? The connections we make here. Social connections.
I have that book if you want to read it.
I do.
And I started to read it probably 3 years ago, and I found I couldn't get into it. And maybe I just take a long time to get into books, because even just the last week, I said it took me 100 pages to get into this book I ended up loving. So, so let's trade books if that's one that's
yeah. And I want to make a comment for dudes with dyslexia. It's hard to read books because the letters go everywhere, and it's hard to, and it gives you a headache. So I do audiobooks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it is hard for me to read a book. I've unless it's like the Tao Te Ching or something that's like, that takes 20 years to read and you read a verse at a time. I'm but it is hard. Like for me in general, I try to read a book and I'm like two pages into it. I'm like, my head hurts and it's really, either I go really, really slow and then I lose interest or I just don't read it. So, yeah. So
whatever works. I fully support and encourage audiobooks. It's
because it is really hard for me to read a book, and that's that's my.
I didn't mean that as a personal slight against people with disabilities, by the way.
Mexicans with dyslexia. Okay, we can't eat tacos either.
Well, I just meant the men who do read and do enjoy reading.
No. I'm just
should consider by women authors. That's all.
I always joke about my dyslexia. So because I speak Spanish, so that's backwards too. Spanish and English is backwards, and dyslexia kind of makes it all a beautiful taco. So
I mean, you should read Where the Crawdads Sing. I actually, after we did our show with Ashley Cammett a few weeks back, I texted her and I was like, you know what book I think you would like? Because she's really into botany.
Yeah.
And she's like a plant
That's
scientist.
perfect for her.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's got big letters, I could probably read it better. But if it got small letters, I tried reading. The last book I read was the Love in the Time of Cholera, right? And he is so detailed. What he, Gabriel Garcia Marquez is so detailed in what he writes. It's like, I mean, I got into it because it was so detailed. So basically, I could go a little bit at a time, right? Like 1-2 pages at a time, and it's the way he writes is like, But besides that, I realized that it's just not something that I could do. It's like I kind of gave up on it. In essence too. So I'm like, what? Yeah.
Sorry, just to be clear, when I say you should read it, I mean like download Where the Crawdads Sing. I don't like however it is you consume it, consume it. It's just such a great book. Yeah. I'm sorry. Kicked my cat. Okay.
It'll probably be made into a movie at some point as well because it's so awesome.
And Raul said The Giving Tree.
Raul, that is such a rough book. I love that you said it, but that book breaks my
heart.
That
to my for my kids. But I don't know.
And Teresa is a blessing to everyone. And we have to have Teresa on the show too, because she is a wonderful, does some really beautiful blessings. And she's she's just a beautiful person.
Wait, is she the energy healer?
Yeah. Yeah.
We have been saying we want to have her on the show.
I know. I'm going to try to get her on the show, but we have to get her time that's going to work for her too. But and she sells copal and she does energy work and she's really cool person.
Awesome.
So
we'll talk.
So she's also for the Pantheon, the Day of the Dead drive through at the Latino Center. She is the one that gets all the altars together, people that do the altars. So and that is the season coming up soon. So
when is that?
It's going to be at the last weekend, I think for 5 days. And so you can be able to drive through the center and it's going to be a drive through.
Awesome.
You can go drive through and they'll have singers and they'll have like a church. It's pretty cool. I'm seeing them build it right now. And then I'm doing the front part, which is almost done and building an altar. I built, a couple altars already. So,
cool.
It'll be fun. It'll be very, interesting. And so if you need any copal, which is I should let her explain it to you, but it gets out all the negative energy. When you go to Oaxaca, you smell two things: you smell copal and you smell marigolds. That's what the whole thing smells like, and but they're all this, they're really they're to bring people who have passed back to the earth for a little bit. So
well, I can't wait to see that, and I think it's so cool how involved you are in bringing so much of not just art to online, but even that there's going to be like a drive-through sort of art setup. I just think that's really cool. We're all doing what we can. And
I'm making a Ruth Ginsburg altar kind of. So I'm going to do that too. That's just awesome. Because I just think that it's very important to do that too. I was going to make it the main part of the altar, but I don't think it'd be too much to explain to people, like what it means and all this stuff. So I'm just going to make a separate, usually in Mexico you make altars, but you also can make them out of drawers and, you get drawers and you put, you make them and you put them up and, but I'm going to make a Ruth Ginsburg one.
Cool.
I think, just for people to see and, and remember why we're voting this year, so.
I love it. I love it. Well,
So,
I just actually, okay, fun story considering topic. Their Eyes Were Watching God was a book a no longer friend gave me for my birthday 15 years ago. It deeply affected me. Best gift ever. I feel like that kind of ties our conversation together, right? Because it's such a good point how like she's gonna have to tell you because I haven't read it.
Oh, okay. Next. So
I remember you know what's weird is I repeated the phrase their eyes were watching God over and over and over when I was I had this really anxious phase a couple of years ago when I went to Scotland, and it sounds like weird, but when we were driving there I was so anxious. And I just kept saying their eyes were watching God because I just ordered the book and it was somehow calming me down a little bit. But just that comment she just made about how that to me kind of reminds us all that like, no matter how long someone's in your life, even if it's a week, or, I can think of relationships that, turned me on to some great music, or I don't know, just like something that somehow affected you and changed you. So, all right, I'm going to get through Tamara's last two questions. We have to respect our guest time since we're now over our hour and a half. So I just added one on the heels of something we were just talking about. Tamara, what is your favorite smell?
My favorite smell.
And don't say dog butts. No, dog butts. So much information.
This is a smell that I love a lot. So I think, but she has this smell that smells like Fritos or like corn chips. And it's kind of gross, but you also start to love it after a while because she's just so wonderful.
Is that the paws?
Huh?
The paws of the dog?
Of the dog.
Paws?
The paws do smell like Fritos, but bassets are very droopy and they just have a different smell than other dogs. It's hard to explain, but the closest thing I can think of to describe it is our Fritos or corn chips.
No, and it's just something that you love, because I think that's so much of what our favorite smells associate. It's often good times. Like I love campfire because I love camping, but if I only smell campfires at like, I don't know, a concentration camp, I'm reading a book right now about that. It's like, that wouldn't be a good smell to me. So much of it is like association. Okay, Tamra, your last question is, an ordinary moment in your day that fills you with gratitude is?
Oh, it's always the morning, usually when I'm drinking coffee before the chaos of the day is set in, with like everyone's just kind of puttering around, and I'm able to really appreciate how young my children are, and just so many good things in my life. And I know I sound like a complete Pollyanna, but that's because the rest of the day gets really chaotic and hectic. And it's like, what am I even doing here? What is all this even for? and just in the morning, there's this stillness and there's coffee. I love coffee. I always make my kids say one thing they're grateful for and one thing they're looking forward to. And they always make me do it. And the thing I'm looking forward to is my coffee tomorrow morning.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And Laura loves it too. I think that's a really cool tradition and thing to get in the habit of. So
yeah. And once again, we'd like to thank everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight too, and doing this with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yeah. And what do we have next week, Melissa? Since you were the booker of the whole.
That's actually up in the air. I don't want to say anything because I have a few people that are available, but I don't know. We have to talk about that. So,
we have issues. So, issues on Cali Cocktail Hour.
It might be artistic differences. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, it's just whatever. I didn't know if you had a guest, so I didn't confirm anybody for next week, but I have guests in line. So
yeah, but I read your text that said that you had a guest, so I told my guest not to come on, and then it was so weird because I was like, I lost a friendship over it, and.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. You know what? To be fair,
weird.
I did have someone booked, and then he said he couldn't do it, but I'd actually had a few people confirmed for next week already. So,
F that.
We have
Sorry,
like people just clamoring to get on our show. It's just so exclusive, and I mean, calm down, you guys. Like, I'm kidding.
So
Tamara, thank you so much for joining us, and everyone who stuck around and commented or didn't comment and just chilled and hung out with us. We're so grateful for that, and it definitely brightens our week to be able to do this. So yeah, and thank you again, Tamara, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun.
You're a strawberry.
I am a strawberry.
And Ruben's doing something over there.
No, because my cable came out. So
Uh-oh. He's all powering down. My cable came out.
here you go. Well, hold on. So Tamara, Christina says I need that alone.
Okay, just to be clear, it's not an hour. It's like a couple minutes tops.
Oh, yeah. There you go. See.
This was good. Good to see you, Chris. Thanks for joining us. As always, we're always so grateful for your presence, your Zen presence. And remember, every day is a good day to have a good day. Yes. And you got to talk to Ruben about being our guest.
Yeah. And if you ever need like a energy work with her, she does a great energy work, which is native style.
Yes.
Yes. So
cool.
Indigenous style of working. So
Awesome.
Raul says good night, guys.
Good night, Raul.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for coming. We'll be here next Friday at 9:00. Our guest is a mysterious guest.
It's like the mystery flavor airhead.
Ooh. Yeah. And as we go into, to this season, and this season is for, cultural wise, or, a thing, we're going to go into the season of the spirits coming up. So we'll have different little different things too going up, and little like maybe some altar making, because it's just something that I think that is very valuable for people in this kind of Western society to understand. Like it's okay to honor our people that have passed away and in our lives, and I think that's very important. That we find a way to do that too. So it's not just a Mexican tradition, but it's a tradition that I think that should be passed on to everybody else too. So we'll be coming to that too, and I think it'll be on the last week of the month. Will be before Day of the Dead. We'll have some more of information for you and stuff like that too. So we've all had people in our lives that made a very, very impactful part of our lives, and they'll always be with us forever. So I want to share that with everybody too, just how to make a simple altar, because you just do it with love, and that's all. A picture, love, in anything that they loved, and you make it, and it's a good thing though. So
I love that. Do people make altars for their pets?
Yes. As a matter of fact, when I was in Oaxaca, I went to a restaurant, and they had she had all her pets that she that passed away, and it was beautiful, because she had like dog bones and everything, treats that they loved, and that's what it's about, and it's about putting things in. It's almost like, if you think about it, it's making a mandala, right? You're making a mandala. You're making something where you're meditating, and you're putting down energy of what people, even if it was they passed away from smoking cigarettes, they had cancer, they would put a cigarette on there. Because that's what they loved, and unfortunately that's what they passed away from. But in Mexico, it's more humorous, and it's more like wicked in that kind of sensor's way, like you just put it. But also animals too, because animals, people know that they're beings, and they have a very impactful part of your life too, as far as in therapy wise and everything else. So and they think that's not something that people do that though too. So yes.
Well, I can't wait to learn more about that. So thank you.
Yeah. And thank you, Tamara, for coming on, and and not knowing what you're getting into, but you did a great job.
Just trusting us. You did.
We never had a strawberry, so that's good. We can mark that off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's on our bucket list, and now it's not. All right, everybody, have a fantastic night. Go and feel however you need to feel in order to get through this roller coaster, this thing called life.
Yes, and we'll end it with a very sensitive song. Thank you, everybody, for coming to Cali Cocktail Hour. Tamara, we always welcome to come on and hang out and talk. So,
you can come sneak on Justin's social media if you ever want to interact with us too.
Yeah,
I love that. I can't wait to meet Flora.
We'll be your social media buddies. So, and thank you, everybody, for coming out.
No one's saying a word.
Bye.
I can feel your heartbeat. I stare into your eyes, and you into mine, lying perfectly still, like we are frozen in time. I don't want this to be over. Don't want the morning to come. my head upon your shoulder, wishing that you would say, I think you should stay, I think you should stay. I want you to say that it's getting late. I want you to stay, I want you to stay. We were young, and no one dared to make the first move. You and me in the night, two souls in the moonlight. I stare into your eyes, and you into mine, lying perfectly still, like we have frozen time. I don't want this to be over, don't want the morning to come. My head upon your shoulder, wishing that you would say, I think you should stay, I think you should stay. I want you to say that it's getting late. I want you to stay, I want you to stay. I want you to say that it's getting late. I want you to stay,